How did your interest start for comedy?
I didn't know comedy existed as a job. So I used to watch Billy Connolly, Bill Cosby, and then I went to London once and I saw this comedian, like there was like 15 comedians on, and I was like, wow, I've got to give this a go, and tried it. I turned up for my first gig about 5 hours too early, like really scared, got no laughter, and I went to put the microphone back in the stand and slipped, and everyone went ha, and I was like, oh, I want to be a comedian. So yeah, and I was a bit of a class clown as well at school.
Who have you been working with?
I've been really lucky. I've done a few gigs with some very famous people, Ricky Gervais, who else? Jimmy Carr, Russell Howard, who's big in the UK, and you know, I don't watch that much stand-up, but when you actually meet someone famous, it's a bit, you know, I don't know about you, but I just always think I've got to get like a photo of it, or I've got to film it, or else people won't believe it. So yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I still, doing this job, I still can't believe that I do it. You know, it's still the greatest. It's like, you know, I think you should aim to be the funniest person at the party, and with comedy, you're kind of this person that turns up and you do this, you know, and it's really fun. It's the best job.
If you want to be a comedian, which way is the best to start?
I think to maybe just go to your local club, a local show, and also just write everything down, because I'm now at the point where I don't really write things, I just find ideas. But if you really want to go for it, it's hard, you know, because you do like 5 gigs and you're like, right, you want to ring David Letterman and say, look, you know, you need to move over, I'm good, you know, it's my I should be doing this show. And then after a while you're like, oh, this is really difficult. I don't think you can judge until you've done about 100 gigs. And I've done about, you know, I don't know, I've been going for like 9 years. So, and I've probably done about 2,000 shows, which is pretty amazing, you know, because at school there's no one that says, you know, you can be a stand-up comedian if you want to be. Nobody, you know, there's no career advisor telling you, yeah, do that. You know, I know you're an absolute mental person in the classroom, so do comedy. But so I just think write everything down and think of funny stories. We've all got funny stories, all got ideas of people that we know, you know. You're kind of, I think your mum, your dad and your grandmas and all those kind of people are really funny. And then just write everything down and then book yourself into a show, which is a pretty full-on step, you know. Because it's funny if you're at a party and you're doing it, but you've got to take it to the stage, and that can be a bit daunting.
Who inspires you?
I've got a little son now, and he's 7 months. His name's Frank, and I think he's the inspiration. You know, my wife as well. But for me, it was like he came along, and life was great anyway. I'd moved to Sweden. I live here now, and then I just thought, wow, I've got this little guy, man. There's this little miniature me. Like, I've got to look after him. So he, you know, when I'm doing shows, you know, it's just because you have to look after him all the time. You know, it's like you've got to carry him, and he just poos diapers all the time. He's like, and you're like, oh, I've got to change it. Oh, here we go again. And so I just do it for him, man. He's the coolest, you know. He can't talk yet, but when he starts talking, he might become a bit annoying. But at the moment, he's brilliant.
What's your future plans?
My future is to do this tour, and then I'm looking to do some universities through Spadia, and then I'm going to do some festivals in the UK, and then I've got a big tour next year, which I turn 40 next year. And I've actually booked a big theatre in Stockholm, and I'm going to do a show on my 40th birthday, which it might be just me rocking backwards and forwards, crying, and you know, people going, "This isn't comedy, this is a breakdown." And then I'm just going to just keep doing shows. You know, the Swedish people are brilliant. They really are. They're so cool. So I just keep doing shows, and hopefully people start coming back to my shows.
So, what do you have to say for people with bad confidence?
I know that someone talked about their fear and stuff like that. One of them, the third place was fear of flying, second was fear of dying, and then the first one was fear of speaking in front of people. And I find that amazing, because for me to get up on stage doesn't freak me out as such. You know, I get a bit nervous, but I just think it's not the end of the world. You know, it depends on what you want to do. If you're trying to do comedy, it can be a bit dangerous if you're low on confidence and you go da 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 and nothing. So I think you have to balance it out. You know, you just get up and you just talk. I mean, a lack of confidence. I've gone through the lack of confidence. I've been down about life and comedy and stuff, and so I just think once you hit a bit of a dip, to come back up is the cool thing. And then you just think, I think when you go down, you go, oh, I'm really not confident, I don't want to do this. You just go, oh, I can't be as bad as how I'm feeling now, and then you're up again.
If you were invisible for one day, what would you do?
I would, I'd probably just walk around, seeing what people, I'd like to be invisible in people's heads, just to see what they actually thought. And I've always had this thing that when people talk, some blue stuff come out. So I was wondering if that, and then, when people are talking, you think, you don't see it. I've always had that thing that if you don't see it, maybe everyone else does. It's like if you do a fart, people, little poot, people, I always used to think maybe some blue, maybe they go, ugh. But yeah, it's just, I suppose just walking around, seeing people, and also riding a bike naked. If I was on a bicycle, I'd be naked if I was invisible. But knowing my luck, I'd just stop at the traffic lights and the invisible stuff would go and I'd be like naked and I'd be arrested.
What do you want to say to people that are negative, like haters?
Yeah, I think negativity is an easy option. I think it's easy to hate. I think it's easy to see something and go, oh, that's shit. I think it's harder. Sometimes all my jokes, if I have any, is to write positive, to see things. It's like if I see someone running for a train, there are some people that go, miss it, I hope you miss it, doors, why? Like, what is that proven to you? I'm there going, go for it. I sometimes lie on the track so the train can't move and they can get on. But that was a joke. I don't SG. I don't. So I think it's easier to be negative. It's harder to be positive. But just do it. I grew up in New Zealand, you see. So everything is quite positive there anyway, to the point of being a bit ridiculous. Where you're like, just calm down. Someone's died here. So I think it's about having. It's also about treating yourself and seeing stuff, walking around, having a look at things that you don't normally see, and then that shows you, the beauty and the, I think it's easy not to see stuff. Once you get those, those bad glasses on and you're looking at stuff and you're like, why is that person? I just think just worry about what you do and be nice.
I want to say thank you for your time.
Tack så mycket.
Do you want to say something?
To Swedish people, come and see my shows and bring your positive energy. Puss puss.